hear me? Hello? Hello? It's fine. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, esteemed members of the Lagos Angels Members Network, LAN. Good evening to our valued investors and also our guests. I hope you all are having a beautiful evening. If not, if you're having a beautiful evening, just know that it is about to get much better. My name is Victory Adekombi, and I'm honored to be your host for this meetup, and it is my honor to welcome you to the second quarter edition of the Lagos Angels Members Network meetup. If you are just joining us for the first time, or if you've been here before, I want to take out this time to specially thank you for joining us. And I want you to do something for me. If your hands are not too busy, can you please celebrate yourself for being here today? Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. All right, about now, I believe we're ready to hit the ground running and dive into what we have for today. And I hope we all are ready to have so much moment, good and memory moment together. All right. Thank you. I would like to make welcome to give the welcome address by the Consulate General and Please join me in putting your hands together for Mr. Peter Curlas. Can we please put your hands together? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes. Yes, thank you very much. Good evening, everyone. My name is Peter Curlers, and I'm the Deputy Consul General of the Netherlands here in Lagos. I just arrived last summer to Lagos, and I'm still very much enjoying every minute of my stay here. But it's a very great pleasure to welcome you all here at our office. We have two offices, of course, as you know. We have the embassy in Abuja, and here we have the Consulate General, which is very much focusing on promoting trade and investment, to strengthening bilateral economic ties between our countries. I'm very pleased to have you here, because what we are discussing tonight is a topic that is very close to our heart. It's very much about promoting youth employment, and we do some programs in that field. Maybe you're aware of it. I just would like to mention two. One is the Orange Corners program, and that is being implemented by Fate Foundation. And the other one is what we call the Challenge Fund for Youth Employment. Also a very interesting program. And what we basically try to do is provide youth with the skills to become an entrepreneur. And I think that is a crucial thing. Becoming an entrepreneur, and by the way, if you want to know more about the programs that we run in that field, then please get in touch with my colleague Sonia, who is here sitting. You all know Sonia, I'm sure. But becoming an entrepreneur is not easy, nowhere. Not in the Netherlands, not in the US, and certainly also not here in Nigeria, I think. I think I'm long enough here to know some of the challenges that entrepreneurs are facing here. That has to do partly with the macroeconomic instability. The Naira lost quite a bit of its value. Inflation is still way too high. There is the issue of infrastructure. The state of infrastructure is not maybe up to standard. And I could mention other things, but I won't do so. What I'm always impressed by is the, let's say, the vibrant, very entrepreneurial spirit that I see among youth here. That's really remarkable, and the resilience. Let me mention one other challenge that companies, startups face, and that's very much access to finance. You all recognize that. And that's where you, the angel investors, come in, the Lagos Angel Network. And I'm very pleased to have you here today. When I think of angels, I think of when I was young and went to church. I go back to my youth, my church in the Netherlands. And I must say, I think it's also very appropriate that we have the Angel Network here today, because I don't know if you saw the news that just came in, but we have a new Pope. There is white smoke. Just 15 minutes ago. So the cardinals, they came, they gathered yesterday, the 133 cardinals in the Sistine Chapel. And very fast, I expected that it would take a bit longer, but they have succeeded in finding a new pope, habemus papam, as we say in Latin. And I dare say that what we are doing tonight, there is some similarity with the conclave. It's a far, but let me explain, because some of these cardinals have been pitching quite a bit their personal case, and there was a solution. But I'm very happy that we also have some startups who will be pitching for us here tonight. And I'm very much looking forward to that. So I wish those startups and those who are going to pitch later on this evening a lot of inspiration, and I wish them good luck. I wish the angel investors a lot of wisdom, and I wish us all a very inspiring and enjoyable evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Peter Curlas. Okay, moving on quickly, because because we have a lot of things to do today. And I'd like to make welcome at this point, Dr. Solomon King. Please, can you put your hands together for him? Please, you can do better. Thank you.
It's our Christmas.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for being here. Peter, good to see you. Thank you for having us here. I'm pleased to welcome every angel, startup founder, partner, sponsor, and everyone who's made it here this evening. It's the second quarter of the year. We've had quite an exciting year already as a group of angels, and we intend for it to be better. And so tonight it's a number of pitches in entertainment, agri-tech, pure agri-food businesses. We have something in a number of industries, and then we'll just have you sit back, relax, and watch them tell us if there are opportunities at the next ones we want to back. In the building, we also would have tonight one of our more popular portfolio members who's going to be telling us what's happening with his business and how he's done since the last time he was here and we availed him some funds. We are grateful sincerely to the Netherlands Consulate, RVO, and Orange Corners in particular for hosting us. And this has been, well, so far, the day is not over, it's just beginning. But this has been quite a reception. I must thank you for having us. And to all our angels, everyone watching us online in diaspora, thank you all for joining in. Abuja, Germany, US, and the UK. I know that Kagabo is watching right now in Cayman Islands. And, you know, our angels are 40% in Nigeria, but we have a lot more of the Lagos Angel Network members all across the diaspora. And everyone is watching as we speak. So it may feel like we're just a few here, but the world is watching. And as we go into this evening, please dust your checkbooks if you've not used them since January. We need you to be kind. It's one of the reasons why we're here. It is so that you, like we say in Lagos, you shake body so that the businesses can do better, they can scale, jobs can be created, families can be fed, and as angels we can say that we contributed and still contribute to the growth of Nigeria's economy. I thank you all for being here. We have a fantastic time. I'm sweating to that effect.
Thank you so much, Dr. King. I think I like when he said, if you haven't dusted your check, you should start doing that already. I know that I saw some people giggle, so please do that. All right, that's on a lighter note. Right about now, I would like to welcome the co-founder of the Angel Network. Please, can you put your hands together as I welcome Mr. Tony Davis? Can you please put your hands together? I think we can even do better. I think we can do better. Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much. Good evening, everybody, and thanks a lot for coming. I hope those of you that are angels are enjoying being members of the Lagos Angel Network, and the founders are enjoying the funding from those networks members. Now, I've been asked to talk about from due to scale to meet those heights. Now, the key thing is this. In Africa, ideas plenty. okay? But its impact and its scale with sustainability, okay, that truly transforms lives. And, well, getting there does what? It takes you guys. Last I checked, that's what angels are all about, is to take you from that idea to where you're employing people, you're having the impact that you need. And what are we talking about here? Well, let me start with the continent as a whole. We're racing to 1.4 billion people. Okay? That's what we're talking about. No, but it's fragmented. There are 54 countries. Okay. Let me come home. I don't care who is president next year. Okay? It's irrelevant. I don't care who the minister of X, Y, or Z is. Here's what you can count on, 100%. Okay? Not 1, not 2, not 3, not even 4, 5. 5 million new Nigerians will arrive next year. Non-negotiable. They will wear pamper. They will need feeding bottle. Are you following me? So when we start talking demand, let's start from the fundamentals, from the basics. I'm not talking of the people eating in restaurants yet. The ones that have grown up enough to be able to afford that. I'm talking of, just think of their growth trajectory. Education. Health. Are you starting to get the picture here? 2027, another 5. The question is, what have you done with the previous 5 million? 28, another 5 million. Then it may go to 5.2, 5.6. It's not coming down to 4.3 or 4.4. And trust me, they've tried. There are different mechanisms we've tried, okay? From fertility management to you name it. But the facts are the facts. So if you're talking commercial, if you're talking business, right? Isn't demand the first thing you talk? Where is the demand for help? Or Abby? Demand. So that's your base demand, base requirement. Now, when you understand that, what happens? Well, I have been involved in building startups for a while, and I think all of you are in the same situation. But what's a startup? I think I need to fundamentally clarify so that everything else I say subsequent is within that context. Number one, a startup is innovating. What do I mean by innovating? That means what it's doing hasn't been done by anybody else before. That's the first thing. Second thing is it is creating value that is in demand. This is not theory. You're solving a problem for real people out there who appreciate that solution. Now, that means what? It means you're going to grow very, very fast. Because your risk profile isn't known, you can't go to microfinance or commercial bank and say, yeah, no. If you're an SME, you can. But as a startup, you're innovating. That means the risk profile isn't known, and half the time, in fact, all the time, your funding requirements are beyond the capabilities of microfinance banks. So you don't fall into the SME category for that reason. That's why these guys are all here. Those of us that call ourselves angels. Why? Because we take a punt. We know this is high risk, but we also know it's high reward. So that's the start point of my story. I met this young man, and he was building a bulletin board that was going to be the default bulletin board in Nigeria. And what would the bulletin board do? It would bring together artisans, workmen, okay, with those who are working. Too busy to work. I'm too busy to find a carpenter. I'm too busy to find a plumber. If I press a few buttons, I get a plumber. It would tell me, oh, this is a 4-star plumber. This is a 3-star plumber. This is how much it will cost. Can everybody see that? We got up to 40,000 users, active users per day. If you have a startup here, how many people have 40,000 active users per day here? Put up your hand. Dari, I know you will. Flying. So, we ended up shutting down. And that was the end of that angel investment. That's what happens most of the time to angels. That's the reality of angel investing. I was a young man, built something called opodo.co.uk. This young man, I was gung-ho. We got Arik on board, you know, and we were going. Raised $1 million, okay, locally, which was unique. In fact, DS InterSwitch was one of our big investors. Couldn't make it work. By the time he wound up, I got 60 cents per dollar. 60 grand investment, $360 back. That's the reality of angel investing. 2021, we started. I decided, okay, that's it. We're going to put a program together as a syndicate and we're going to run it religiously. So twice a year, we run cohorts, right? There's some of the cohort members here. We're now about to run cohort 10, right? Investing roughly 2 to 3 startups a year. I started in 21. 2 of those startups have already failed. One was in fintech accounting. The other was in cold room storage logistics. All failed. That is the reality of angel investing. Okay? However, let me paint the other side. Remember that young man I told you? We got to 40,000 and we couldn't make it work, that we shut down. He then went off to work somewhere and came back about 18 months later, okay, in 2019, and says, I know what we did wrong. I know why we couldn't make it work. I've got a great idea now. And he called some of us those of us that I invested before that were interested and says, are you guys going to help? A few of us jumped on board. I became a member of the board. And we started navigating 2019, 2020, 21. We kept moving. Last year, that startup got declared the fastest growing startup on the African continent. He failed though. We packed it up, remember? All of a sudden, we're now the fastest growing startup on the African continent. And I'm happy to announce that on Monday, last week Monday, we announced our Series A, $20 million funding. Last I checked, that's the first Series A that me, Titi, I have started from beginning. And I follow to the end. So it's no longer grammar. From MVP to Series A, it can be done here in Lagos by our companies. So, thank you. Here's the rub. It's not just about cash. That's what makes the difference. Angels bring knowledge. They've been there, done that. They got a t-shirt. And they also bring connections. They can work the telephone on your behalf. Well, nowadays it's not even so much telephone, it's email connections or WhatsApp, but you get the point I'm making. Access, okay, and then finally, of course, The cash matters too, but it's in that sequence. The earlier they are in the journey, the more it matters that you bring knowledge and connections, that you bring cash. And that's why angels matter. So, if you're an angel, think through, what's my knowledge base? What am I bringing to that party that's non-negotiable? Not all of us are experts in everywhere. There are 12 I've highlighted in my book, okay, which is, for those of you who don't know, it's called Investment Worthy Startup. Okay, it's available on Amazon. And I've highlighted the 12 critical areas. Ignore any one of them to your peril if you're building a startup. Okay, they are fundamental. And whether you're at MVP, pre-seed, seed, or all the way to Series A, they matter. So, dear angel, please, which of those 12? Okay, I think DS has about 5 of them. Me, I have about 5. What are the 5 areas or 4 areas or 3 areas that you know any startup you're investing in can rely on you for support? That's one. The second is your business network. Cultivate them. Let them know you're working with startups. Okay? Can I send them to you for help? All of you, those of you who know me know, I don't shy away from that now. Okay? That's what angels do. And then, of course, if you're investing, I beg you, if you have 10 grand, right? If you have 20, maybe you make it 5K to 4. The point being, diversify your investment, no matter how good they sound. At this stage, you're not betting on the idea, you're betting on the individual. Ideas, they're just a multiplier for execution. And as I said earlier, execution without funding, it's a dead end. So you need both. I'm not going to take up too much more of your time. I trust that helps. Thank you very much for listening.
I think we should put our hands together for Mr. Tony Davis. I believe you all will agree with me that that was a thought-provoking session. So please celebrate him once again. Thank you. All right, moving on. Right about now, we are going to be having a panel session with the LAM founders. Yes, sir. I'd like to make welcome Mr. Tano Atta. Please put your hands together as he will be anchoring the session.
Yes, I'm standing. And we just want to welcome AKA DS. With all due respect, I apologize for Dr. Suleiman, but I mean, this is Nigeria, so very Nigerian. Good evening, everyone. My name is Tano Atta, and I usually don't talk, so I'm not very social. So forgive me if I don't communicate. This evening, we're just going to have a very casual conversation. I wish there were more microphones in the house. Thank you. Thank you. So this is the Lagos Angel Network.
It's working. Okay.
And I've been an angel with the Lagos Angel Network since last year. I've also been a chief servant. Solomon calls me whenever he needs something done. I like to help. I like to work. So last night, like I said at the last conversation, I spent a few hours last night studying two great men last night, and I found very interesting things. But I want to go, history is very important, right? So I'd like to start, the founders in the house, or excuse me, the founders in the house, and I think this is a very critical information. 2012, two men decided to start the Lagos Angel Network, and that's why we're all here today. And they've gone on to do countless other networks beyond just the angel investing thing. So how did that journey start? I pose that question directly to TD first.
Okay. My own recollection. I'd done a couple of, I call them the 3 S's. So my schoolmates, we called it KC Lions. Okay, because I went to King's College. And so we were doing our angel investment as KC boys. Then we got approached by an industry group that included Lofty Inc., Paradigm Initiative, quite a number of, ecosystem players saying, you guys can't be doing this by yourself. It needs to be Lagos-wide. Let's have. And they had already had, I think it was called the Lofty Inc. Angel Network. Yeah. And we had King's College Lions, and I can't remember what the third one was. But all of us got together, okay, and that's how Lagos Angel Network came about. The World Bank actually sponsored our inauguration at the Wheatbaker Hotel, and it was carried by the economists. So all of us were like, yay, let's go, let's go, let's go. We had our first meeting, about 20 people showed up, and we discussed and says, okay, we're going to go for it. That means we have to incorporate, we have to do all the things that are necessary. And of course, I was charged with, go and do some of this. So I got a lawyer, and he says, well, the first problem you have is you can't use Lagos Angel Network because to use a city in any corporate name requires approval by the Attorney General of the Federation. So, okay, what's that going to take? We get to the next meeting, announce it to the guys. And I can't remember how much it was, whether it was 10 million naira or, it was something, whatever. So we said, okay, and we're going to need to raise this.
Yesterday, last night. It was very difficult finding information, finding him speaking or talking, because he's a very, very quiet, powerful man. But what I found interesting was the depth of his impact is really long. And as a former Cadbury baby, my dad used to work in Cadbury. When I saw Cadbury in one of his companies, I was like, yeah, okay. So, sir, the question I have, as someone who has seen many boardrooms and someone who understands also the startup landscape and the absence of boardrooms, because we've seen the crazy information and mismanagement and lack of governance and all the issues. What would you say has been the impact of LAN since its inception in the ecosystem?
Well, I think we are seeing the impact of LAN in what is happening right now. I mean, like TD said, this was 2012. Sounds like a long time ago. It's not such a long time ago. I would say the whole concept of angel investing was novel. Not many people knew about it. I mean, so the whole idea, or the initial idea behind Lagos Angel Network was to propagate the whole concept of angel investing and then teach people what it is and how to do it. So I would say our initial efforts were actually directed at training ourselves, the angels, and recruiting like-minded people like us who had a desire to be angels, which is basically saying a desire to help younger people grasp the idea and make it, bring it to fruition and so on. So, I mean, a lot of the initial startups never took off. I mean, we've put money in a number of things. Very few of them have succeeded, but it's the nature of the animal. And like TD said, what we always advise people, number one, don't put too much money in any one deal. Spread your bet, and don't invest your rent money or your school fees money or your pension money on. So, which is another way of saying, invest what you can afford to lose, or if you lose it, it won't but the mindset from the very beginning was a desire to help a younger person make his or her point. And that's how we all started, yes.
Thank you. Sir, do you have any recollection on the first successful deal that landed, the one that got you guys to celebrate and say, okay, we have landed, we should do this more often?
I think TD can answer that question because I haven't landed that one yet. I've made many investments. Some have worked, some haven't worked. But if you do the count, just by the count, I would say 90% would have failed. But 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 will succeed and make it worth your while to continue to do what you do.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. So, TD, so the question then comes to you. Do you remember the first deal that landed as a syndicate or as a group of friends that spurred you on to continue to what we are today?
Yeah, I want to put somebody on the spot on this one. I hope she's, and she knows who she is. Okay, so I'm not going to face where the place is, but let me tell you the story of this particular investment. Okay, who then became a co-founder. We had to carve out shareholding, co-founder shareholding for him, okay, to become the founder.
Yes.
And, well, I'm happy today to say that that company is called Big Cabal Media, raised over $2 million since then, and I think they've passed the $2 million revenue mark. So that, to me, is one of our stories.
Wonderful. A quick question, if you don't mind. I mean, Nigeria is a great country, and we have so much potential. We have so much opportunities. I mean, TD said something really exciting. Ideas are. The question is this, the economy across Africa, because I'm aware that the Angels have activities across the globe and across Africa and across Nigeria. How do you see the evolution of Angels actively playing a developmental role in how our country and our continent scales, with particular reference to the professionalism that you have experienced over the years of your very lengthy career? How do you think Angels play a role in that?
Well, first of all, the Angels are there to support, and the support is centered around the founders. And what we do is basically supplement their capacity, whether it's technical, whether it's managerial, whether it's financial, and whether it's relationships and so on. So I think the challenge
For 3 stories, and you are paying for a